Hello everyone, welcome to Prestige Castle Farm. My name is Innocent. I welcome you back to our YouTube channel. It's been a while. We uploaded a video, I think 2-3 months ago, and the reason is because I've been quite busy. Most of you do not know, but I work in the IT industry, so sometimes I can be quite busy. But we are back. This is the year 2025, and I want to wish you all a blissful, happy new year, and it's going to be a prosperous one for all of us. So today I'll be discussing 6 important lessons we learned in the year 2024. These lessons are very, very important, and please stay tuned because this year we're going to be doing things differently. We'll be giving some giveaway to some of our viewers. Some of this giveaway will be in the form of maybe winners rabbit and also crate of eggs. So that is just to say thank you to those of our viewers and followers that have supported us, that have supported this channel throughout when we started. So what are these important lessons? The first one is the success and failure of your farm depends solely on you. Sometimes as farmers we can sometimes shift the blame. If you say, oh, it's the manager, oh, it's my workers, but one thing that I've learned is, as a farmer, you need to be present. And there are certain things that only you as the owner can see, and that is the truth. Sometimes I'll just come into my rabbit farm, like my rabbit tree, and I will see something. I'll just look at the rabbit. Let me give you an example. This rabbit, this is an Angora, and this rabbit was actually having an overgrown teeth, and my workers could not find that. They did not even know, but I just came and I saw that, and I was able to address the issue. And you see, it's been quite active. It's been quite active. So there are certain things that you as the owner, sometimes I will just come to my rabbit tree and I'll just look at my rabbit and I'll say, okay, this rabbit is not fine. Oh, this rabbit needs to be dewormed. Oh, this rabbit needs to be given something. Even in my poultry farm, it's the same thing. Sometimes when I come to my poultry farm and I just look at my birds, I could immediately tell that something is wrong. Or I could say, okay, have you given the vaccine, or have you dewormed this bird? So if you are not present, you can easily omit these things, and your workers may not be able to figure those things out. They may not be able to figure those things out. By the way, you pay them, and how the working system is, and sometimes you may have good workers, but they may not really have the experience that is needed that you have. So the sources, they said the box stops at your desk. I think that is the idiom. So basically, the success and failure of your farm, I can tell you, to a greater extent depend on you. That is the first lesson that we learned in the year 2024. The second lesson that we learned is that the choice of worker, the choice of your staff, can determine the sources of failure of your farm. If you have the right workers, I can tell you that it can take your farm to the next level. And if you employ the wrong people in your farm, I can tell you that could lead to the end of your farm. It's actually quite difficult getting the right workers, because sometimes you may have a worker that is hardworking, but that worker may be a thief. You may have a worker that is not as hardworking, but that worker may not really have the strength to work, but that worker is also a very faithful worker. So sometimes you may not really have the best worker. So it all depends on management. It all depends on how you seek your workers. Okay, So for me, I think that was one of the challenge that we had in the year 2024, getting the right workers, And currently, I think we're doing better now. But you likely going to, one of the things that I learned from, Farm Up, that's Dr. Daniel. One of his principle is that when the worker is not giving him what he wants, he showed them the door. It's almost like Ibrahimovic, principle of, like, if you're not performing, just the door is open for you. I think it all depends on your management system. Dr. Daniel's approach is, there's no need to compromise. You just have to be practical. Get the right workers, get the workers that are performing, the ones that are non-performing, show them the way. So tell me, what approach do you think is the best in terms of workers management, and how do you deal with your staff? Please put those down in the description button. In the comment section. Put those down in the comment section so that we can all learn. So that is the second lesson that we learned in our farm. The third lesson is prepare for eventualities. Okay, so let me be honest with you. As long as you're dealing with animals, you are bound to have eventualities. You could have mortalities. You could have drop in egg production, like we had in our farm. If you're having broilers, you may have high mortality rate. But as workers, we often think of profit. When we're doing our calculation, we think of profit. We always look at, we calculate, we actually even overestimate our profit, we just assume that things are going to go well throughout the year. But from your experience, it sometimes doesn't. So you need to be prepared for that. You need to ask yourself, what is the realistic target that you can put for yourself, especially in this year 2025. So if you are zooming, okay, let's say, for example, in our farm, we're having new pullets that we have in our farm, and we can make an estimation to say, okay, when they start laying, our target is going to be, maybe at the peak we should expect maybe 85 to 95% production rate. But what if we do not hit that target? And sometimes you may do everything. In fact, I was speaking with one of my mentor, and I was having a conversation with him, and he said sometimes you may do everything right. You may give them the right vaccination, you raise your pullet very well, you do everything right, and they may turn out they may turn out bad. Like, they may have low production rate. In fact, sometimes they might not even lay at all. So what do you do in that situation? So and the problem may not necessarily be from you. It may just even be from the hatchery. So these are the eventuality we're talking about. So prepare. Rather have your expectation low, and if you exceed your expectation, then kudos to you. Okay. So the next lesson that we learned in the year 2024 is have an extra cash aside. Just have an extra cash aside. Listen, we struggled with, our farm currently is 90%. Our layer farm is currently 90% layer farm, layer beds, and then maybe 10% broiler. We only do that now. But a lot of you who have been following us know that majority previously our farm was really broiler. That is what we focus on majorly. But what we learned throughout the year is that, look, if you don't have extra cash by the side when it is needed, you are dealing with animals, you may struggle. And let's say, for example, your production has dropped below 65% or 70%, and currently, and your bird are struggling to even feed themselves. So you will find that you do not have extra cash to buy feed. So if you do not have extra cash to buy feed, then it means that the farm itself will struggle. So it's always good to just have some extra cash by the side, just in case there is need to, to pull out those extra cash and, and use it for something, use it to mitigate the challenges that you are having. Be adaptable. So I'm going to tell you a practical experience that we had last year. So some of you know we do provide consultancy services. So we do provide consultancy services to some of our clients. So someone reached out to us and said, listen, I want you to come and take over the management of our farm. And by taking over the management of our farm, so we have to have a profit sharing mechanism. And we said, okay, cool. Now, remember, we have our own farm. We have certain quantity of eggs that we sell. Now we have to, when we took over the management of this new farm, which is a layer farm, therefore it means that the number of eggs we have to now sell increases. So we have to think outside the box. And what did we do? We harnessed social media. So we posted on Facebook, on all our social platforms, and we started thinking outside the box. And we said, okay, we are based in Uyo, and Uyo is really, really a producing state in terms of agriculture, but not really, the purchasing power is not as big as Port Harcourt, for example. But it is a producing state because there are a lot of farmers in Uyo. So that means that, Uyo, and that is why you have a lot of, egg buyers. Majority of egg buyers that come to Uyo, they come from neighboring states like Port Harcourt and Calabar. So we had to think outside the box, and we now had to advertise. We had to reach out to customers beyond our state, and we then had to increase our demand about 3, 4, 5 times above what we currently, what our current demand is. So we had to adapt to the situation, and the reason is because doing school. So when school, and a lot of, if you have a poultry farm, you will realize that once we go into, when the school resume, the demand for egg usually drops. So if the demand for egg usually drop and you just have, let's say for example, one customer, it means that customer would likely disappoint you when schools are not in section, or when we have the egg cloud. You see that customer will likely disappoint you. But when you have more customers, even if one disappoints you, you still have others may turn up. So you need to be adaptable to learning, adaptable to, visit farms. Look at, like, for example, I visited a farm last year, that does things differently from what majority of farmers do. And their production, because of what they are doing, their production actually is remarkable. So we had to, take cue from these experiences. And finally, do not limit your growth. So this is a very important lesson that we learned in the year 2024. It's very easy to, be comfortable in your growth level. Like, you are producing 500 birds, you have 500 birds and you are okay with 500 birds, or you have 20 rabbits and you are okay with that. One of the lessons that we had last year was just to, think big, and, do not limit our growth. To always look at ways in which we can improve, capacity, in which we can improve our contact, in which we can improve our market, in which we can improve our network. So we when you are comfortable where you are, you don't grow over there. So we had to challenge ourselves last year to say, okay, how are we able to to increase our capacity and, you know, move from where we are to another level. You know, I remember Dr. Daniel did mention about someone who, you know, he never owns a farm. All he does is that, like, he never built a farm. All he does is that he rents farms. You know, he moved from one farm, he rents the farm, you know, increase capacity. So instead of the money he would use to build a farm, he would rather use it, rent a farm, and put his beds, you know. So it's the same thing, you know. You don't limit your capacity. Build from what you have. Build from what you have, and, you know, grow from there. So that is one of the lessons we've learned. In fact, one of my colleague in the rabbitry, you know, we were actually having a discussion on how to bring in pure breed to Nigeria, and I was very, very impressed and actually shocked when, and in fact challenged as well, when he told me that, you know, he has gotten some pure breed into Nigeria, but is it 5 or so, you know, and you know, pure breeds are quite expensive to get them into Nigeria, you know. So that became a challenge for me to start thinking and saying, okay, how do I, you know, bringing in those pure breed into my farm and increase, you know, the quality of my rabbitry. So do not limit yourself. So last year, that was one of the lessons we learned, you know, to try as much as we can to grow and not to be comfortable where we are. So I really hope this message meets you well, and I really do hope that you're able to take 1 or 2 lessons from this video. So these are the 6 lessons that we learned last year. And we really, really hope that you can take 1 or 2, you know, cue from these lessons and apply that to your farm, especially in this year 2025. We hope these lessons are beneficiary to you. So tell us, what has been your lessons? What have been your lessons for 2024? What will you, as a farmer, a poultry farmer, a rabbit farmer, what will you do different in this year in order to increase your capacity and increase efficiency in your farm? So please do well to like and subscribe to our channel, Prestige Castle Farm. And remember, this year we're going to do a lot of giveaway, you know. So follow us, like, support us, you know, share these videos and help us grow. So thank you, and take care of yourself.